is what I want. This is what I need.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Matilda Johnson, and today we are doing another monthly wrap-up, a messy monthly Whoa, that's too hard to say. Messy monthly wrap-up, yes, of February. And honestly, I won't lie to you guys, I feel like in terms of pop culture, February was just a bit of a dud. Like, a lot happened, but nothing that I was, like, peeking about. You know? Nothing really grabbed me by the balls and had me like, what? You know? For me, my biggest pop culture, as discussed last week, was Taylor Swift coming to Australia, because that was like the entire month of Feb for me. That's all I could think about. That's all that has been on my mind since, except the start of March has already shown a lot of pop culture headlines that I'm kind of shook about and I can't wait to discuss already. But I know I can't, because it's not our time yet. So here we are. Firstly, I think we should discuss the fact that Taylor has done so many mashups at her concerts recently, which is sending everyone into a frenzy. Specifically, I'm thinking about that girl who, in the Sydney shows, she's sitting outside of the stadium and is wailing when Exile started playing. I'm not laughing at her, I'm laughing with her. Also, like, sad for her because that's on the internet forever and she is a meme all over the world right now. But I understand her reaction. Probably my favorite pop culture moment is that little girl singing the American National Anthem. And honestly, she is Fergie's child. You can not tell me that she is not Fergie's child. But what I think is crazy about it, hold on, let me get at my research for this. Okay, so this girl's name is Kinsley Murray. If you haven't seen this video, oh my god, please look it up. I will show you guys a little clip in a sec. But basically, she is Fergie's long-lost child, singing the national anthem at a basketball game. And she is literally a 6-year-old, and she's already sung the US National Anthem at more than 100 sporting events, including baseball, football, basketball games, and rodeos. And they put her in the most crazy patriotic outfits you've ever seen. And she sings this full chest. And I'm kind of like, look, she can hold a note at times. Like, this girl's only 6 years old, mind you. So I'm like, put the girl in a couple of singing lessons and she could be fantastic. But I'm also like, oh, this poor girl is going to look back on this when she's like an adult and cringe so hard. I am going to play you a snippet because it's funny. But honestly, if only you could see the visuals. Like, if you haven't seen this video, please look it up, because altogether, visually looking at it whilst hearing it is just a game changer. If you don't want to hear this, maybe skip ahead by like a minute, but it's so good. I'm sorry. Every time I watch this video, I cry. I really should have given an earphone warning before that, but like, this has just become a viral sensation, and I do feel bad for this girl because I know when she's like an adult or a teenager, she's going to look back and be like, Mom and Dad, why did you do this to me? But it's out there now. And we all have those moments. We all have embarrassing videos. I have my fair share. So I'm not, it's kind of the pot calling the, well, that was not English. It's kind of the pot calling the kettle black here. But bless her parents. It's like watching Dance Mums. It's like watching toddlers and tiaras. It's very much like watching toddlers and tiaras. And I am ashamed to say I was a toddler in a tiara. So I understand this girl on a cellular level. Another huge part of February has been the Madame Web press tour, which honestly I think is going to go down in history as like a really big pop culture moment, with Dakota Johnson, my cousin, just giving us nothing. She is my cousin. In my mind, just like how Dwayne Johnson is my cousin. I do tell people this, and it's really up to you to decide which of the two you believe is more likely to be my cousin. Don't tell me. Anyway, I just think she's hilarious. She's an icon. She is the moment, and she just tells it like it is. And in this press tour, she's giving us absolutely nothing, which in a way is kind of refreshing because at least she's honest, whilst also being so media trained. Like, my favorite comments she's made is when somebody asked her if she really bonded with her co-stars. And she said, yeah, the three girls really bonded. And then I was kind of just there. And I'm like, go off, girl boss. Tell it like it is. And apparently in the movie, you can really tell when she just starts to give up. Like, you can tell that she, as an actress, was just kind of like, this is a sinking ship. So I will give it absolutely nothing. But you know what? In a way, it kind of works for the movie. Have I seen it yet? No. Will I see it? Maybe. Maybe not in cinemas. Not sure if I want to be paying to see it. You know what I mean? I know that's not good for the TV and movie industry, but I think they're doing fine. But yeah, like it's going to go down as a cult classic purely because of how bad it is and how cringy it is. Also, who put Sydney Sweeney in that wig? Her hair did not need to be in a wig for that. They could have very easily used her own hair. But whatever. I'm going with it. I'm accepting it. I don't like it, but I'll accept it. It probably just adds to the amount of camp. And you know what? I think Dakota Johnson as a celebrity has just proven to us, like, how valuable it is to have celebrities that remind you that they're people too. Like, it's like when she told Ellen DeGeneres that she was in fact invited to her birthday. And Ellen was all like, I wasn't invited. And yeah, you just had to be there. But you know what I'm talking about. She's just an icon for that. We did have the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I watched the entire game and loved every second of it. We watched the Kansas City Chiefs play against the San Francisco 49ers. And it was so fun to watch. If you know me, you know I've been in my sporty era my whole life now. It's just been really elevated in more recent years. And it was so fun to watch. I watched the whole game, like I said, and I was going for the Kansas City Chiefs purely because I am a Taylor Swift fan and because I respect Patrick Mahomes. And you know what? I have a lot of respect for his wife, Brittany Mahomes, as well. I think she's done amazing things as a businesswoman and as an athlete as well. And I feel like she gets a lot of hate in the media for no good reason. People just don't like to see a woman in power. But, like, she built a soccer team in Kansas City and also helped build the stadium which the Kansas City Chiefs play at, amongst so many other accolades. And people just hate on her. And I'm like, why? I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Like, if there is a good reason why people dislike her, please tell me. But until I know why, I'm just going to be like, y'all are just hating. You just hate to see a girl boss. That's all. But I did feel bad for Purdy, the quarterback for the 49ers. I kind of did want them to win just because he's such an underdog. And I love an underdog story. He was the lowest ranked quarterback, like the last picked quarterback for all the teams, and nobody really believed in him, and he got made fun of a lot for just not being like a rising star of the quarterbacks. And then he made it all the way to the Super Bowl and unfortunately lost. And you know what hurts? Seeing, like, when all the streamers are flying out over the audience when the Kansas City Chiefs win and the camera zooms in on the losing team members and it's them crying on the field with streamers falling down on them. That is so sad, but so cinematically well done. We also got to see Usher perform at the Super Bowl, and I'm going to say it, I love a Super Bowl performance. It's one of my highlights of the year. And Usher, I feel like after going the year after Rihanna, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know what I mean? He did a good job. The dancing was fun. When he came out on roller skates, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I was waiting for him to fall. Quite genuinely, I was waiting for something bad to happen. Somebody did fall off the stage in roller skates. I saw the girl on TikTok afterwards with like a broken arm and a black eye, and she's like, yeah, I'm the girl who fell off the stage at the Super Bowl. And I was like, that sucks, but at least you're making the most of it now. You know, I love the positive energy coming out of this. She's getting that cash, that TikTok money afterwards by saying, hey, that was me and I'm going to own it. And good for her. Alicia Keys was the first surprise act. I was shocked by how many surprise artists he brought out to perform the Super Bowl with him. Alicia Keys was a phenom. A lot of people are hating on the fact that she didn't hit the first note. Guys, like, it's at least we know they're singing live. You know, silver lining. And after that, nailed the brief. Killed it. It was great. I was a little upset Justin didn't come out, knowing that he was, in fact, at the Super Bowl watching. All I wanted was a little, I just need somebody to love. You know, that would have killed it. Would have put the nail in the coffin, nailed the Super Bowl performance, but it didn't happen. So I was left a little like, okay. Another thing we got out of the Super Bowl, though, was the announcement of Beyonce going country. Shocked the nation, shocked the world, shocked everyone. I'm into it. She's a Texan. I'm pretty sure Beyonce is from Texas. And I'm like, you know what? She's just going back to her roots. She's a country gal. She's just there for the fun. And good for her. I, so far, have only listened to This Ain't Texas. I know that there are 2 songs out, and I haven't listened to the other one. So sorry to Beyonce. I will listen to the full album once it's out. And as a surprise to absolutely nobody, you can imagine my excitement about the amount of PDA and love and openness we received from Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift after the Super Bowl and at the Super Bowl after party. I was living for the content. I just really love their relationship, and I think it's because it's like they kind of embody the American dream of like the footballer and the country star and success and happiness. And also, in a way, like, it's really nice to see a man like Travis Kelce, who is a sport that's typically like super masculine and like I'm a tough guy kind of vibes, but he seems so emotionally available and mature to the point where he's not afraid to like cry or show emotion or show love in front of the woman he cares about and also express that to the world. I think that's something that, like, there's something so lovely about that. And I think a lot of my favorite celebrity couples, the man always kind of embodies that. Like Tom Holland and Zendaya. Tom Holland is always gushing about Zendaya. You know, it's like when you see a man who's not afraid to express their love for the woman they're in love with quite openly, I'm like, oh, give me more of that. Give me more. On the day of recording, it's actually the day that Jason Kelce, Travis's brother who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, he just announced his retirement, which we all kind of saw coming. It had been speculated for a while that he was going to retire, but he gave the most beautiful retirement speech, and Travis was in the audience crying, and his wife Kylie was there and she was crying, and his parents Ed and Donna were there. And honestly, I think the way that Ed and Donna have raised their sons to be in a masculine sport but also so doting on their partners and their kids, I'm like, this is something that needs to be studied, because the way they have raised 2 so emotionally mature and intelligent people, I'm like, oh, I love this. I love their family. Who would have thought that me seeing on TikTok a few months ago a man making a friendship bracelet and talking about how his celebrity crush is Taylor Swift would lead me to watching a press conference at the end of like the NFL and being sad about a center player retiring? Who would have thought? Oh my God, how could I forget the Formula One news? Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari. Are you joking? That rocked me. I was up, I think it was like, I was up really late at night. I think it was the 1st of February. And there was like a rumor going out on the internet. It was like speculation that Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari. And then however many hours later, when I woke up the next morning, it had been announced that he was actually making the move, and Ferrari and he had put out a statement, and then Mercedes put out a statement. And I was just shocked, not only because he had been with Ferrari for 13, I mean, not Ferrari, oh my God. He'd been with Mercedes for 13 years and has won 7 world championships with them. But then also the move to Ferrari, that means Carlos Sainz loses his seat with Ferrari. And so Lewis is moving on from being in a partnership with George Russell to now being in a partnership with Charles Leclerc. And I'm like, okay, but who are we going to consider as the first driver for Ferrari? Is it going to be 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, or Ferrari's new superstar, Charles Leclerc, who is, I'm going to say, like, he's been making better moves recently in terms of the sport than Lewis has. Just my opinion. It's just my opinion. But he's just been placing a lot better in races more recently. So is he going to be the first driver, or is it going to be Lewis? And then what happens to Carlos? Because now he's without a contract for 2025. Surely a team is going to snag him. I personally am like, I kind of want to see him in a Red Bull seat, but also I want to see Daniel Ricciardo back in the Red Bull seat with Max Verstappen. So I don't know. There's so much to think about. I have no idea where he's going to go. It makes me nervous. My heart goes out to Carlos. I love him. He's one of my favorite drivers. And so I'm just so sad for him. It actually makes me so sad when I think about it. I just finished all of season 6 of Drive to Survive as well, and it left out so many details of the 2023 race season that I really wanted to see, such as Carlos's win in Singapore. Obviously, there was an entire episode about that, but how he purposefully gave DRS to Lando Norris. Why didn't we see that? Why didn't we hear them in their little headphones driving the cars being like, yeah, I'm doing DRS on purpose? Where was that scene? I wanted to see that. We did just have the first race of the 2024 season happen in Bahrain. However, I'm not going to talk about it entirely because that's technically March. However, waking up every morning to the news of like who is on pole position after like which qualifying round, I was shocked. Every day I was like, what is this standing? Like, what is going on? So I think we're in for a very, very interesting season. And I think the Ferraris are going to be fighting it out. I think like Charles and Carlos, like I think Carlos he's in his reputation era. He's now going to be fighting for those pole positions, and I'm so excited to watch it. I also have bets on Lando Norris winning a race this year. Like, I think he's going to be on pole for a race, and that really excites me because I really want him to. I'm a McLaren girl. But then in other Formula One news, we have the scandal within Red Bull Racing. There is currently an internal investigation happening between Christian Horner and allegedly him sexting and inappropriately messaging a female colleague. And that's going to be massive. I am so interested in how this is going to play out in the media. So far, it's been a very interesting one to follow along. For those who don't know, Christian Horner, who is the team principal, is also married to Jerry Halliwell, who is Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls. And basically, so he's been caught up in this scandal. He's allegedly had, well, actually, no, texts have been leaked this week between him and the woman who he was inappropriately messaging, who works for Red Bull Racing. And so that's going to be a very interesting one to follow along and see where that internal investigation leads, and also what happens with the team because of that. As we know, Red Bull Racing is pretty much like head and shoulders above the rest of the teams right now. Max Verstappen he won every race except for Singapore last year. And they've won Constructors' Championship I think, the last couple of years now. And it'll just be very interesting to see how this shapes the team dynamics and whether, I mean, I don't know if Checo Perez is going to be staying around. I don't know when his contract expires, but Max Verstappen, he's like the face of Red Bull Racing, and it will be very interesting to see if he stays with them next year after this scandal has occurred, especially considering his dad, who is a previous Formula One driver, has expressed that he does not want Max to be staying at Red Bull. So that is going to be very, very interesting. Somebody suggested the other day, can you imagine if Max Verstappen took Lewis Hamilton's seat as first driver for Mercedes Petronas? And that would be absolutely insane, especially when you consider the rivalry between Christian Horner and the principal for Mercedes, Toto Wolff. It would be crazy. It would be wild. Netflix would go insane. I'm so sorry. This entire episode has turned into NFL and Formula One, but actually, I'm kind of into it. Everyone's wondering where Kate Middleton is right now. I can't say I'm wondering where she is. I'm not a royalist or monarchist. I don't really, I used to be super into it, but that's when I thought, royalty was, Disney princess vibes and less, beheading. You know what I mean? So I don't really follow it that much anymore. Not that they do the beheading still, and I hope they don't ever revert back to that. But you know what I mean. It has been interesting, though, recently with King Charles's announcement of having cancer. Obviously, he's undergoing treatment right now, so we don't really know what's the haps with that. But it will be very interesting to see how that plays out within the royal family. Somebody made a joke the other day being like, oh my God, it's crazy because Trisha Paytas is pregnant again. It's just a matter of time that she reincarnates the next royal member. But that's also, we shouldn't laugh. We should not be laughing about that. No, we should not laugh. But, but also sad. I'll be very interested to see, let's be real, King Charles is old. He's already an old man. Lizzie lived for a very, very long time. Do you think she wrote a letter to herself? Did she live past 100? How old was she? Never mind, she was only 96. Imagine, she could have done a little Dear Diary moment. And now I'm looking at it, I don't think 75 is that old. I know people are like, that's old. I don't want to think that's that old. King Charles can still be kicking it, he's receiving medical treatment, he's doing great, but everyone's like, how crazy would it be if we get to see multiple coronations in our time? That would be pretty crazy. We knew we were eventually going to see the next coronation of King Charles, but imagine if we see William's next, and probably, in my lifetime, I'll probably see a third coronation, which is not something I ever expected, but fun, I guess. Speaking of coronations, I saw a child the other day in Brunswick, which just makes sense, and a mum was calling out to her. Her name was Jubilee. I just had to throw that out there. It just made sense including that in the royal section. But how crazy naming a child Jubilee. Never mind. The whole speculation about Kate Middleton being seen for the first time in public since her surgery, it's just come out in the media. She's been seen. It turns out it was an abdominal surgery. Everyone was thinking she had a BBL. No judgment either way, but no, guys, it was an abdominal surgery. It has been announced today. Another huge one that I loved, if you know me, you know I have previously worked in children's entertainment. This is hilarious. So there was a Willy Wonka immersive experience being held in Glasgow, Scotland, and it was meant to be aimed at children and families, but it was so bad that people literally called the police because they were scared. To be fair, if we're going off the original Willy Wonka movie, I haven't seen the new one with Timothée Chalamet. However, the first one, terrifying. And I'm not talking about the one with Johnny Depp. I'm talking about the OG. If you've seen that, then you know what nightmares are like. But yeah, apparently people were paying $44 to go to this immersive experience. And there wasn't even any chocolate, which I feel like kind of defeats the purpose of it all. And when people arrived, it was just kind of in a grim warehouse, which was like sparsely decorated with like very cheap looking props. And the costumed performers just looked depressed. And rightly so, because when I worked in children's entertainment, I was also depressed. One of my favorite headlines was definitely about Bridget Mendler, who some of you might know as an ex-Disney Channel leading actress of Good Luck Charlie. Some of you might know her as an incredible R&B singer. You might remember her going viral last year because everyone was like, who sang this song? It was like really good like R&B soul music. And it was Bridget Mendler from Good Luck Charlie. Well, anyway, she is now the startup and founder of a satellite data company. Not only that, but it's also been released that she graduated from the University of Southern California with her undergraduate degree. She went to Harvard Law School, and she's also got her master's and PhD from MIT. This woman is a genius. And low-key, I'm like, is she going to run for president? I would move to America so I could vote for her. The Grammys happened. That's it. It happened. Taylor Swift won a lot, which was great. That's all I can really remember from it. For me, it was kind of like a ugh. Like, it just happened, you know? The trailer for Wicked dropped, and I'm so excited. If you know me, you know I am a musical theatre nerd, first and foremost. So I'm very excited to see this movie. A lot of people are complaining about the colour of the trailer. It just looks a bit washed out. To be honest, I don't really care. It's meant to be a bit dreamlike, so I'm excited to see how it goes. It looks pretty, and the vocals sound incredible. I'm excited. And I think that's all we've got time for today's episode. Thank you for listening to me ramble on so much about sports and other topics. I think March is going to have so much more to discuss. It's only the first week and I'm literally taking notes about things I want to talk about. But for me, those were just my highlights of February. If you think I missed anything, let me know because I'd happily talk more. You know me, I'm a yapper first and foremost. But if you liked this episode, feel free to give us a cheeky little review, a nice little 5 stars, wherever you're listening to it. And you can give us a follow on Instagram and on TikTok at hotmess_podcast. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we'll chat again next week for a very messy episode. Bye!